All right, investors, good morning. It is great to see everybody here again for another webinar of ours. This will be our final webinar of the year. So I'm very excited to be here with each and every one of you. Most importantly, guys, it is the last full week of trading here that will take place in the year of 2022 and before we head into 2023. So I want to wish everybody first and foremost, happy Hanukkah if you're celebrating, a Merry Christmas to come, and onward to 2023. Now, guys, if you're brand new to these webinars, I'm going to quickly introduce myself. I'm going to go over our economic backdrop, which is one of the most important pieces for us as investors. And then from there, guys, we're going to dive into a TipRanks tool of the week. So I'm very excited. These webinars have been very successful. And from feedback that I've received from all of you guys, we're only going to keep pushing them out week after week, well into 2023. So with all this being said, guys, my name is Ari Gutman. I'm a customer success manager here at TipRanks. The way I see it, my job is pretty simple here. It is just to be here for all of you. And how exactly do I do that? Well, I jump onto webinars like this. I get to speak with you guys. I interact with you guys through one-on-one sessions as well. And then on that other end, whatever feedback that I grab from all of you, I actually go ahead team to team and divvy it out, because at the end of the day, that's all TipRanks is here to do, is level the playing field for the retail investors. We truly believe that every investor should have the same information in front of them when making their investment decisions. And I'm really excited about that statement in particular, because towards the tail end of today's webinar, I'm going to show you exactly what I mean by that by one of our tools. Now, guys, I do have a colleague who is on this call with me. His name is Daniel Rosen. I am not the technical guy in the room, far from it. So I always like to say that if you have any technically related questions regarding Zoom or any troubleshooting issues, please send a direct message to my colleague, Daniel Rosen. He is here to help out on the technical front. Now, I'm also just going to share with you that I'm feeling a bit under the weather. And I actually had a couple colleagues that said earlier today, Ari, stay home, take a rest. I said, not a shot. I absolutely love being on webinars with all of you guys. I love what I do, and I'm really excited because it's the tail end of 2022 and we're heading into 2023. And this is actually really exciting for me as an investor, especially with the insights that I'm seeing across TipRanks utilizing the tools. So not a shot. I wouldn't miss this this Wednesday or any other Wednesday ever. So you mark my words on that one, guys. With all that said, let's dive right into our economic backdrop. If you are brand new to these webinars, I do paint this economic backdrop for us, just briefly go over what's happening economically, because before we even pick up any TipRanks tools, we have to have an understanding of what's going on, at least in a general overview sense. So guys, over the last few months, over the last year, we've had sky high inflation, but over the last few months, we've had inflation coming down. So a few months back, it was at 7.7% sky high. Then we got a new inflationary reading. It came down to 7.3%, pretty good. And our last inflationary reading came in at 7.1%. And man, oh man, did the market rally right after that CPI, that consumer price index report came in. It was very exciting. We saw the stocks in the market take off. However, shortly after that, they did make their way back down. So one of the questions I asked myself right away is, well, what happened? So on Tuesday of the other week, that's when we had CPI come out. Following on that Wednesday, we had the Federal Reserve come out and share the interest rate hike decision of theirs, which was a 50 basis point rate hike, which I believe was actually already baked into the market. If you're on our webinars here, it's what I shared with everybody, that it's largely already baked in. What was interesting, though, that everybody should have had more eyes and ears on was Jerome Powell's remarks thereafter the Federal Reserve came out of that blackout period of their FOMC meeting. The reason being, guys, is because the big focus heading into 2023 is going to be keeping our eyes on our market mandates and watching and listening to the Federal Reserve and their tone. Because yes, inflation is coming down. It's exciting. It's certainly a positive move in the right direction. But I'm certainly sharing with all of you that this is almost like a battle that we've won, but not the war just yet. And so what we need to do as investors is constantly be listening and watching the Federal Reserve. What are they saying? What is Jerome Powell saying? How's he saying it? The Federal Reserve presidents, what are they saying? How are they delivering their messages? That tone is crucial because even with inflation coming down, we see that the market is reacting every single time very similarly. We get very excited with lower inflationary numbers, which again is a good sign, but the Federal Reserve has not pumped the brakes or has pivoted. So that leads me to take a deeper look into why the Federal Reserve is moving into the direction that they're heading in. Guys, I'm a firm believer that the Federal Reserve is really watching wage inflation, right? It's all coming down to really unemployment. We have a very, very robust labor market. So right now, the labor market's at about 3.7% unemployment, guys. That's pretty strong, right? Unemployment numbers that are there. A lot of Americans employed, we're moving and grooving. However, the Federal Reserve is not going to outright come out and say, which I'll share it here, guys, we're looking to actually pump those numbers of unemployment up. Now, with that being said, guys, unemployment's at 3.7% right now. It's actually lower, right? We usually have it higher, 4.5, 5% unemployment. So that's what the Federal Reserve is looking to do. They're looking to raise that unemployment rate. Now, it's been quite some time, and I mean a few decades, since we've had this robust of a labor market. So again, pay attention, closing out 2022 and moving well into 2023, what the Federal Reserve is saying, how they're saying it. This also wraps me right into, guys, what a lot of CEOs across the board are saying. Again, if you've been on the webinars with me here, I've shared with everybody that we've had anybody from Jamie Dimon, the CEO at JP Morgan Chase, to David Solomon, the CEO over at Goldman Sachs, to Lance Fritz, the CEO at Union Pacific, or Doug McMillon, CEO at Walmart. All of them are sharing with us that what they foresee in the longer term horizon is a recession. So I had a couple of weeks ago spoken about those four specific CEOs. The other week then I shared with everybody that Janet Yellen came out on a 60 Minutes interview and also alluded to a recession. She was asked by Nora O'Donnell, the person interviewing her thoughts on a recession to come in 2023. And of course, her response was very political, but if we read between the lines, guys, it looks as if Janet Yellen has given us that yellow to green light on what she really foresees coming, which is a recession. And just given all the factors that we have at play and what the economic backdrop looks like right now, I personally would not be surprised to see a mild recession to come in 2023. Now, guys, we also had some earnings come out already this week. We had FedEx and Nike, both of which beat earnings expectations, which is pretty good. And these are pretty strong indicators of where exactly the consumer was, right, last quarter. Most importantly, guys, is never get too excited about strong earnings reports, because investing is all about looking into the future, the next 3 months, 6 months, 8 months, 1 year, 2 years, 5 years out, whatever your timeline is. But it's certainly a good sign that we've seen that the consumer is still spending. And right now it's holiday season. So we got to take a look into these stocks, right? Retail stocks, could they be performing well? How exactly are they performing? Now, guys, with all of that in mind, our economic backdrop in mind, the big question for me always comes to mind, which is the question that comes to mind every single Wednesday here on these webinars, which is, what stocks do we actually invest in? Where do we generate our stock ideas? Where should we be looking? How do we invest at the end of the day in knowing that a lot of these CEOs are talking about a recession, our Treasury Secretary talking about a recession. We have folks across the board talking about a recession. If you go on to, say, Twitter, just type in recession and you can see that it is actually a trending word on Twitter, recession. So there's certainly a lot of fear out there. Now, for me as an investor, given my personal timeline, guys, I'm not exactly concerned about it, but everybody's in a different position, yet we're all asking the same question. Where exactly is the best sector to invest in? What stocks are the best stocks to invest in? So I say, plan for the best, but always be prepared for the worst. Now, I say that, guys, because can anybody stand here and say that a recession is 100% with all certainty likely in 2023? No. Can anybody ever stand in front of us and say, buy this stock now, this is 100% like a gold mine of a stock that will return 10x? No. If anybody is ever offering guarantees, of course, we should turn our back and run the other way. But me as an investor, guys, what it comes down to is always doing my own personal due diligence, which is where now we're going to get into the tool of the week. and why I share with you guys that my job here and everyone really at TipRanks is focused on this mission of empowering the retail investor. Because no matter where I look for stocks, no matter from walking down the street, if I'm talking to friends, even family, people will ask me, right, where do I invest? How do I invest? I'm always very standoffish to those types of questions because I truly believe in investors doing their own due diligence. So even if I jump onto Seeking Alpha and I see a great article, even if I jump onto TipRanks and I see a great article, even if I'm in a cafe and I hear people behind me in line talking about a stock that might 5X or 2X, whatever may have you, it always comes down to me as an investor doing my own due diligence. So with all of this said, guys, I'm going to bring us right to tipranks.com. I'm going to share my screen with you in a moment, but I'm going to share with you basically the two cases we're really going to look at. One is a place where you can literally go and actually find stock ideas, which is incredibly important, right? If you're someone out there like myself who's constantly every day, I wonder where to invest, this is going to be your perfect HubSpot to do just that. And on the other end, I want to look at a case and just put us in a hypothetical situation as if we really were perhaps somebody standing in line at a Starbucks or a Dunkin' Donuts, and we're about to grab that coffee and we hear people behind us talking about a certain stock, or perhaps we're looking on social media and one particular stock is trending, or maybe even we just get to see some headlines of a stock that did really well on earnings. And then we have to understand it all comes back down to that due diligence. So bear with me as I share the screen here. Okay, so we right now are on TipRanks, of course. And I want to go right towards research tools. We're going to go under top stocks and we're going to click on top insider stocks. Now we are immediately pulled up to a page here, insider hot stocks. Now guys, this page, I'm going to preface once more. I am a firm believer, no matter what or where you find your stocks, no matter what stocks they are, where you find your stocks, it all comes down to due diligence. So even if you find a stock immediately on this page, which you're about to see, we're going to find a lot of them, it still comes down to doing your due diligence. That's the most important part about investing. But what exactly are we looking at right now? We have insider hot stocks. Now, if we scroll down, guys, we're going to see a bunch of different strategies here that we have: transaction strategy, C-level strategy, major event strategy, top rank strategy. So very quickly, I want to go over what each of these really mean. And before I do, guys, I want to scroll down, and here we have the hot stocks by insiders. So it's really exciting information. To break it down very quickly, a hot stock by an insider. Well, an insider is somebody who actually is in the ends of the company, right, at some level, whether it's a C-level, right, a corporate executive, a stakeholder, people, those who work at the company, guys, those are the insiders. So by hot stocks by insiders, these are stocks that just had recent buying or selling activity. In our case here, buying activity of insiders actually buying their own stocks. Why is that the most amazing thing since sliced bread, in my opinion? Simply because if I know that an insider has a lot more information than I do at their fingertips on their desk, particularly a lot of these C-level executives, perhaps a CTO, a CFO, a CEO, I know they have more information than I do. And if they're buying their own stock, particularly with their own funds, that becomes really exciting for me, because with their information, I get to now make a better, more informed investment decision, guys. So now let me run through what exactly we're looking at here, what exactly we mean by transaction strategy, C-level strategy, major event strategy, and top rank strategy. So if I take a look at transaction strategy, this is really when we have a lot of insiders buying or selling a particular stock. If I head over to C-level strategy, this is our corporate officers, the C-level, right? The corporate offices there with a CEO, CTO, CFO, any of really the head honchos, if you will. Head over one more to major event strategy, which gives us any real major stakeholders that just bought or sold a particular in a particular position. And one more over here, guys, we have top rank strategy, which is just the top 100 insiders that made the buying or selling movements. So in knowing that, guys, the next thing I want to take a look at for myself personally is which one of these strategies actually has the best performance. Now, I want to ask myself that question before I even scroll down and look at these stocks, because at the end of the day, guys, I want to trade with the best. I want to make sure I'm making the wisest investment decisions. So if I see one of these strategies actually really outperforming the others, that's certainly the strategy that I want to make sure that I pick, and I filter out the rest. So we can see here that under major event strategy, again, those are when major stakeholders make a buy or a sell on the shares, really does well in comparison to the other strategies. But I want to go one step further here. Let's peg it to the S&P 500 just to make sure. And yes, we still see that this particular strategy, the major event strategy, does very well over the other strategies. So in knowing that, I want to scroll down and actually just uncheck these other strategies. And now I'm left here with a list, again, of stocks that I can scroll through. And again, I'm generating stock ideas from this, because we could see just yesterday, there was movement, all of these stocks, very positive signals 2 days ago, 5 days ago. So we can see it's as recent, guys, as yesterday that we see these insiders making moves. And again, if we know that the insiders are making moves yesterday, chances are, right, we still have opportunity now today to take a look into the stock, do our due diligence, and make an informed investment decision on if we want to proceed to transact. So I'm just going to go ahead and pick NerdWallet for our case. And we can see that NerdWallet, guys, has a lot of insider buying. Corporate insiders bought shares worth $217,000 in the last 3 months. So the first thing, guys, I want to do is actually scroll down and see who made those informative buys. And I see that it's none other than the CEO of, in our case here, NerdWallet. Now, I don't know how many of you are familiar with NerdWallet. I am actually very familiar with NerdWallet, very, very frugal myself. So NerdWallet is actually a financial website which it allows you to compare different financial sites so you get the best possible price. Now, right off the bat, in knowing briefly what NerdWallet is about, at least for myself, and if you didn't know what NerdWallet was all about, it certainly would be worth a search, do a deeper dive on NerdWallet, understand the company that you're going to potentially invest in, or at least the company that you're adding to your watch list. But now, in knowing that the CEO made an informative buy, meaning he made a purchase into the shares with his own funds, the question becomes, is this a stock that I potentially would like to add to my watch list? I see that the CEO here is very confident, and I wonder what's going on with the stock. So now I want to use some of our other tools here. And the first place I want to go is the stock analysis. I want to go out to a year to date. I want to get a timeline in place because I want to see on this timeline what's been happening economically with, in our case, NerdWallet. So I see right here, guys, that it's actually down almost 40% on the year, which, if we see a red chart right off the bat and a stock that has been beaten down over the course of the year, it doesn't necessarily mean it's not a buy. What this means is that there has been volatility with the stock. And given our economic backdrop, which is why we always go over that first before picking up our tools, we can start to paint this picture on what has been happening in the last year or so, and why perhaps now is the time that the CEO has been making a purchase on the shares of his own company. Now, of course, we know that being the CEO, you have all the information that you need of your own company to make this decision. But more importantly, for me as an investor to start thinking on whether or not I should add this stock to my watch list or even perhaps invest into the company, I want to take a look at, based on the fact that investing is about being forward thinking, what's to come in the next 6 months and 12 months? And is this particular investment a buying opportunity right now, given on what's to come? Now, I know that, again, NerdWallet is all about, it's a website in which people are going to go to compare different financial sites to get the best possible price. People are going to be, perhaps, if we head into a recession or if people are scared about a recession, chances are they want to find the best possible prices, which is also something, guys, key. We heard from Doug McMillon, the CEO of Walmart, sharing that now we have a lot of shoppers coming to Walmart, right, that are making over $100,000, but they're coming there to save money. So I think this is pretty safe to say that across the board, we're seeing consumers looking to penny pinch and cut costs where they can to save money, to position themselves well. And so knowing what NerdWallet is all about, perhaps I can paint the better picture of the CEO and why he's buying more shares. He has the numbers right in front of him. Now, I don't have those numbers, but what I do have is his judgment call based on the data he's looking at. And now I can also paint my own economic picture here in the next 6 months, 12 months to say that chances are we're going to have a lot of people that are going to be looking towards sites like NerdWallet. How do I cut costs? What are the best prices and places to go for me to actually make sure that I am cutting costs and penny pinching? So that's a little bit about an economic backdrop that we can utilize right off the bat here. And then we can go into some other tools. We can see that there's a lot of bullish blogger sentiment. That's a positive indicator. We have crowd wisdom as other investors on TipRanks who are actually increasing their position with NerdWallet. And of course, we have our insider transactions that were taking place. Guys, all of that right there from simply finding an insider transaction. And I want to take you right back now to our insider hot stocks. I'm going to scroll back down. Now, let's say NerdWallet was a bit too small of a company. We can go by market cap. And let's take a look. I'm a fan of Bill Ackman, so let's head over to Howard Hughes. Now, I say I'm a fan of Bill Ackman, guys, because I know that Bill Ackman actually owns a vast position when it comes to Howard Hughes. We can take a look. Corporate insiders, again, bought shares worth over $158 million in the last 3 months. I want to take a look at who did it, what's going on. And I can toggle actually with who's been buying here. And I can see, okay, 14 days ago, we had a director, Pershing Square, same director, Pershing Square, 21 days ago, 14 and 21 days ago. Now, Pershing Square, guys, for those of you who don't know, is actually Bill Ackman's hedge fund. He owns a huge stake in Pershing Square. So let's go over to stock analysis, just see year to date what's been going on. And again, we can see that we're down on the year. We're actually down on the year by 26% when it comes to Howard Hughes. Now, paint our economic picture. We've had the volatility over the past 12 months. We've had a lot of REITs. Howard Hughes, by the way, is a real estate management development company. We've had a lot of REITs that actually have similar track records as in declines coming out to the end of 2022. Now, this is where it gets fun because being forward thinking, if a recession is to hit and in a high inflationary environment, I know that real estate tends to perform very well. So now knowing that Bill Ackman over at Pershing Square has an interest here in buying back the shares of Howard Hughes, a company that he has a huge stake in and has access to all of the information here at Howard Hughes. This is a stock now I would personally like to put onto my watch list and do even more due diligence on it. And again, we go to the right, we can see, okay, analyst consensus is a strong buy, bullish blogger sentiment across the board, crowd wisdom and increase. And we can even click into hedge funds. Okay, so who's buying into Howard Hughes? And we have some hedge fund activity here of hedge funds that have started a new position or added to their positions. Again, guys, very important here because at the end of the day, these insiders have all the information at their fingertips on their desk. And the question that I'm posing to each and every one of you is why shouldn't we have access to that same information? We should be able to level the playing field. We should be able to trade as if we're sitting at their desks with them, as transparent as we can get. If I'm a shareholder in a company, I definitely want to know what's going on in the inside. Now, unfortunately, that's not always going to be the case. But in me getting as close to the CEO as I possibly can get, guys, this is a tool that we have that places you at the CEO's desk with the CEO or with a major stakeholder. I want to do one more, as I said, case with each of you guys here. And I want to paint this picture now, bring myself back to the screen, guys. I just want us to imagine ourselves in a Starbucks and a Dunkin' Donuts. We're in line. We hear a lot of chatter behind us. It's usually those hot stocks. People are really always talking about the meme stocks and hot stocks. And I'm sharing this with you and placing each and every one of you in this position because it's happened to me more times than not. And they say, this CEO, he's all in on this company. He is the leader that this company needs. I trust this leader. Well, the question that always comes to mind for me, especially if we're to head into more of a turbulent, if you will, economic time, potential recession heading into 2023, is does the company I'm investing in have incredibly strong leadership? Is it have a strong brand name? And last but not least, is the company well capitalized? Those three pieces of criteria are very important to me as an investor. Now, in hearing the chatter, or perhaps I'm even on social media and I see the stock that's trending, the first thought that comes to mind for me is, okay, quiet the noise down and let me find out why so many people are talking about this stock. Is it something that I should get invested into? Is it a company that I firmly stand behind? Does the company have strong leadership? Is the leadership standing behind their product, their service, or the company in and of itself, right? Because last thing we want, guys, is a case like Enron. If anybody out there remembers Enron and what had happened, the collapse of it, that's like the last thing we could possibly want. But Enron was the hottest thing since sliced bread. And so here we go, guys. I want to bring you right back into TipRanks. Here we are again. Now, guys, the hottest trending stock as of right now is Tesla. So I want to go over to Tesla and see what's going on with the actual stock. Now, I don't know how many people out there follow Tesla, and I might get a lot of heat for this, but let's have some fun. Because what we're looking at now is the stock analysis page on TipRanks when it comes to Tesla. We can see that Tesla is down over 65% on the year. Now, we have a lot of Tesla bulls that say Tesla's a buy. We have to buy this stock, long Tesla. And on the other end, we have a lot of investors right now saying, get out of Tesla right now. And the question that comes to mind for me, guys, is, okay, I hear a lot of noise out there. Let me quiet that noise. What are the insiders doing? And I'm going to take you now right over to Insider Trading, which is the same tool, guys, that gives you the inside look. And we can see here that corporate insiders have been selling shares worth of Tesla, 7.5 billion last 3 months. Now, I don't know how many people out there are going to run with the leader who's been selling out of the company, but that's the question that comes to mind. I want the person that I'm firmly standing behind to be firmly vested into his company. That's just me, right? So when I scroll down and I can see that as of 7 days ago, we do have an informative sell by none other than the CEO of Tesla. Now, this is not to say I don't love Tesla. I think Tesla is a great vehicle, but this is for me now to say, as an investor, is this the right investment decision? And now here's where I got to start asking myself deeper questions, because when I see Mr. Elon Musk selling out of position of Tesla, and by the amount in which he is, I want to take a look of other informative sells. I'll check off the box. And this was actually very alarming to me, which is why I'm actually flashing it on the screen for everybody. We have the CEO, Mr. Elon Musk himself, 7 days ago, last month, 3 times, 4 months ago, 2 times, sorry, 3, 4, 4 times. Guys, Elon Musk left and right has been selling shares of Tesla. And I want to bring you to this year to date, because if we go back 7 days, well, Tesla stock has been falling. If we go back 2 months, Tesla stock has been falling. 4 months, Tesla stock has been falling. And so the question, again, that comes to mind is, if the CEO, the man in charge, the head honcho, has been selling shares of his own company, would it be wise for me to potentially sell my shares? Or on vice versa, if Elon Musk were buying shares, would it be wise for me to be buying into the company? Now, those are the questions that we should be asking ourselves, because now it gets really interesting. We have hedge funds that we can see an increase of activity, buying activity. We have analysts that are actually rating Tesla a moderate buy. We have blogger sentiment that's bullish on Tesla. So why this gets really fun for me as an investor is because, again, I get to paint my own picture, and doing my own due diligence here is empowering me as an investor to now be armed with all the information that I'm going to need to make an informed investment decision, guys. So that's just Tesla and what we can take a look at. I also want to have some fun, guys, with taking a look at a company that recently reported their earnings. That company is FedEx. Just quickly jump into FedEx. Now, FedEx has had a heck of a year in terms of course, being impacted by consumers not spending as much, cutting costs. And we saw that play through with their earnings, guys. And we can see that we have FedEx down on the year by roughly 35%. So again, my red flag goes up. Doesn't mean it's a bad investment opportunity, depending on my investment timeline, but it just means I got some due diligence to do here. And again, I can take a look at the right-hand side. We got a great smart score at an 8. We have an analyst consensus rating, moderate buy, bullish blogger sentiment, increased hedge fund activity. But what exactly are our insiders doing? And this is a great trend. Even though the stock is down 35% on the year, we can see that FedEx insiders are actually buying shares of their own company. This is something I like to see. Again, I want to go over and toggle with informative buys. Who exactly is buying? And we have the president and CEO buying shares as of 3 months ago. So it's very interesting, guys, to now paint the picture based on the earnings report and what came out yesterday. Now, FedEx did beat analyst expectations, which is great, but the CEO, the executive board did say that they have continuous plans to cut costs moving into the next few months and into 2023, which all makes sense. It's aligned with just about all the other companies out there reporting their earnings. How can we cut costs, right? We've seen layoffs and headline after headline coming out, at least from the tech sector, that there's layoffs. When it comes to FedEx specifically, guys, they beat on earnings, which is great. We had the CEO that was buying into the company, his own company, informative buys with his own money as of 3 months ago. Now, the question to ask ourselves, let me pop back on the screen. The question to ask ourselves, guys, is where are we going to be in 3 months? Where are we going to be in 6 months? Where are we going to be in a year? Now, that question is up for each and every one of you to answer by painting your economic backdrops, by understanding what stocks to invest in, what sectors to invest in. But I want to circle back to where I started, guys, and end here and sharing with each and every one of you guys that investing is all about putting as much information onto the table as you possibly can, especially right now when CEOs across the board are talking about a recession, our Treasury Secretary is talking about a recession. And as we end the year of 2022, guys, it's unlikely to get that Santa Claus rally. We don't really have any new news coming out until January 12th, which is our next CPI report. And I believe at the end of January into February is the next Federal Reserve FOMC meeting, if I'm not mistaken. But guys, we don't have any crazy news that's about to come out. So it's likely we're going to see this ebbing and flowing into 2023. This is my preparation period. This is the time right now, guys, to be doubling down on preparing myself, as I mentioned, for the worst case scenario. And the best case scenario, all the work I'm doing right now in preparation for the worst case will only fare me well. But all of that comes back down to having as much information on the table as possible to make the most informed investment decisions. And with that, guys, insider trading and the ability to get as close to these insiders as we possibly can as retail investors is the key. And I'm incredibly happy to be at TipRanks here, sharing this tool with all of you. I cannot express how many times that I personally, as an investor, just another retail investor amongst the many, have used insider trading before I actually make an investment. So on behalf of my entire team here, guys, at TipRanks, I want to once again share with all of you a happy Hanukkah and Merry Christmas, and of course, a happy new year to come, guys, a happy investment period here to go, the last closing days of 2022, guys. And I also want to throw in that if you're still with me here, to jump onto Trustpilot and leave a 5-star experience review. Let us know what you think of our products, how you've been using them. Let us know, of course, if they've been helping you on your investment journey, guys. Thank you so much for joining us here on this webinar, and of course, remaining with us within the TipRanks community all throughout 2022. We look forward to having you with us in 2023, guys. Again, thank you so much, and I will see you all in the new year.